Alright, welcome to this theory video. In this video we're going to talk about seventh chords, also sometimes called four-note chords. They're kind of the same thing. How about I just explain what it is? So we're going to use these formulas. So hopefully you can see that okay in the video. But these are very important formulas that will help us work out the chords. These are in Connect. You'll find a handout in Connect which have all of these formulas. So these are, 1, 3, 5. The L stands for lowered. Excuse me. We don't use the term flattened. We use the term lowered because sometimes you might be using a natural sign instead of a flat. So that's why we use the term lowered. And in this video, I'm going to cover working out how to write a chord. So if you're given C major 7. Okay, this is how you work out how to play it, how to write it out in notes, and then the opposite. Given a group of 4 notes, what is this note? What is this chord called? And it all comes back to these formulas and the key signatures. They're the two things that are going to help us work out what the answers are. Okay, so formulas and key signatures. Key signatures is central to a lot of things. If you don't know what the key signature is for that particular key or the chord that we're working out, you're going to be stuck. Anyway, let me explain. So, I'm going to start with, we'll just start in the nice easy key of C. I'm going to start with the notes and then working out, actually no, sorry. We'll go the other way, but let's just talk about C major 7. And before we even get to that one, I might just talk about the different names of each of these 4-note chords or 7 chords. So we have major 7 chord, and it can be written 3 different ways. MAJ7 or capital M7 or triangle 7. They all mean major 7, and that chord has 1, 3, 5, and 7 straight from the major scale. So we're going to refer back to the major scale with all of these. So the major 7 chord will have the 1st, 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th of the scale straight from the major scale. Next we have a 7th chord, which is often called a dominant 7th chord. And that one has a 1, 3, 5, and lowered 7th. So if you were in the key of C major, you wouldn't have a B, you would have a B flat. I'll explain these. I'll give examples of these in a tick. You then have the minor 7 chord, which has 1, a lowered 3rd, which makes it a minor chord, 5, and then a lowered 7th. I'm going to come back. Oh, no, I'll do this one. This one, now I need to correct myself from some of the lectures. I was calling this chord a diminished 7th chord. It's actually a half diminished chord. My mistake there. Sorry. And this one has 2 names, as we've discussed. It's minor 7 flat 5 or half diminished. And sometimes you'll see it written with just the diminished symbol with a line through it indicating half diminished. And that is 1, lowered 3rd, lowered 5th, lowered 7th. We then have this funky kind of chord here, which is a minor major 7 chord. Often I refer to that as the James Bond chord. It's got that sort of sound to it. And that's got the 1, lowered 3rd, 5th, and the 7th. So just a reminder, these are compared to the major scale. So 1, 3, 5, 7 is straight from the major scale, and then if it has an L there, you need to lower it. Let's do some examples. And we'll start with C major 7. I'm going to give myself a little bit more room there, because I need to put in a middle C. So we'll start with C major 7. I'm going to use the capital M this time. It could be triangle, it could be MAJ. So 1, 3, 5, and 7. So I've got 1. We're obviously in the key of C. This is nice to start with C major because we've got no sharps and flats. That's the key signature, so we don't need to worry about that so much. So 1, 3, 5, and 7, which correlates to C, E, G, B. So every single one of those notes is from C major. Therefore, it is just 1, 3, 5, 7. That's a major 7 chord. We're going to work our way down the list. Next is 7. So a C7 chord. Okay, it has 1, 3, 5, and 7. What I like to do is just put the notes in there first, regardless, and then work out what we need to do to them. So we've put all the notes in. Great. We know they're all from C major because it's got no sharp to flats, and then we just follow the formula. So 1 can stay the same, 3 can stay the same, 5 can stay the same, but we just have to lower the 7th to make it a 7 chord. And we just put a flat in front of there. So that is now C7, or sometimes called C dominant 7th. So you can see how the formula works there. Let's keep going. C minor 7. Once again, I'll put all of the notes in. I just put them all in straight from the major scale, because that's our base. And then we work out what we're going to do. 1 stays the same. 1 always stays the same, otherwise it's a different chord. But we need a lowered third. So that is that note there, E flat. We need the 5th stays the same, and the 7th goes flat as well. And that is now C minor 7. Cool, let's keep moving. What do we have? I'm gonna use the minor 7 flat 5. But that could also be called C half diminished. So you can see I've used that. I don't think I've ever seen it written out in words, in letters, C half diminished. It's either one of those two. Sometimes people put a 7 after that as well. Diminished chords get a bit funky, so lots of people use different types of notation for it, but this is what we're going to go with. So once again, we just put in our 4 notes, and then we work out what we need to do them. So they're straight from the major scale, and we need to lower all of them except for the first one. So the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th. I might just point out now, before I do the last one, don't get confused by 3rd, 5th, and 7th. Sometimes, especially if you haven't talked about chord construction much before, or triads, sometimes people will think the 3rd means the 3rd note in the chord, as in that note, 1, 2, 3, but that's not the case. The 3rd, in a chord like this, the 3rd is the 3rd note from the scale. The 5th is the 5th note of the scale. It's not the 3rd note in the chord, if you get what I mean. So yeah, don't get confused by that. 1, 3, 5, and 7. Let's do, we've got one more to go. C minor, major 7. So once again, I just put in my notes straight from the major scale and then work out what I've got to do. And all we have to do here is lower the 3rd. Cool. What thought I might do is place these chords so that you can hear what they sound like. Because, although we're doing music theory, it always comes back to the ears. What does it sound like? So let me play them for you. I'll just go out of vision. Got the piano here. So this is C major 7. Quite a pretty sounding chord. We have C7. More of a bluesy sounding chord. Gets used a lot in blues. C minor 7. C minor 7 flat 5, or C half diminished. And then C minor major 7, which sounds like the James Bond, the end of the James Bond song. Quite an unusual, they get sort of more unusual as you go down the list, but that's what they sound like. The other thing I just want to clear up as well, and I get this question sometimes though, people will say to me, hold on, why are we using C major when this is a minor chord? This isn't in the key of C major, it's a minor chord. So what we're doing, we're just using the major scale to help us get the answer. Yes, of course, a C minor 7 chord is not in the key of C major, but we're using C major to help us get to the answer. It's just a tool at this point. And this is just one method of doing this. There are other ways of working this out. I think this is the easiest way, which is why I teach it this way. I always try to find the easiest way to explain it. But yes, we're just using the major scale as a tool to help us get to the correct answer. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do that, maybe not all of them, but we'll do some of them in a different key. Or maybe even a few different keys. We might change keys rather than just always using C major, which is the easiest way. But we're going to do a few in some different keys. So I'm going to start with E7. I've just pulled that out of the hat, out of the air. E7. Cool. I'm just going to rub. If you can always go back in the video, but I'm just going to rub out these chord names so that to give myself a bit more room. And in fact, bear with me. I might just in case we need to refer to it, I'm going to put it up here actually. C major 7, C7, C minor 7, C minor 7 flat 5, C minor major 7. I personally prefer minor 7 flat 5 because diminished chords can get confusing and there's so many different people use different terminology for it and things like that. The minor 7 takes all the guesswork out of, minor 7 flat 5 takes the guesswork out. That's my preferred notation for that. Cool, anyway, that gives us a bit more room. Let's have a look. So, this is the method. I always, like before, I always just put the 4 notes in. And then I like to, my next step, so I've started on E because it's an E chord. So I put the 4 notes in and then we work out what we need to do to them. So what I like to do is then put the key signature above so that we know what's in the key of E major. And you can just look this up. It has F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp. That is the key signature of E major. I'm gonna go through this in every step. If you're more confident, you can skip some of these steps, but if you're new to it, go through every step. The next step is to put, if any of these notes in the key signature affect the chord, we put them in. So we've got an E note, we've got a G, yes, we have a G sharp, let's put in the G sharp. We have a B, no, it's not affected. We have a D, yes, we have a D sharp, so let's put a sharp in there. So that way we're always starting from our major scale. Everything's now from the major scale. We're not at the correct answer yet because we haven't applied the formula. But we've put the 4 notes in and applied the key signature. It's all in from the major key. Now we apply the formula. So we've got a 7 chord. So we need this formula here. We need to 1, 3, 5, lowered 7th. Hopefully you can see that. It looks a bit blurry on my screen there, but hopefully you can see that. It's in Connect if you need it. So we need to lower the 7th. And the 7th is this one. And here's an example of why we don't say flatten the 7th. Because it's a D sharp. And to lower a D sharp, we need to what? We need to go to D. You could put a natural sign there if you want to, or you could just simply rub out the sharp. I'm just going to rub out the sharp. For this purpose, I'll put that little bit of line back in. So now we've followed the formula and we have an E7 chord. Okay, so that's the method. Let's do another one. Let's do G minor 7. Okay, so first step is to write in the 4 notes starting from whatever the chord is, the name of the chord, so G. So there are the 4 notes there. Next step is to write in the key signature of G major. Even though the chord is G minor 7, we always start with, we just use the major scale as the tool. So the key signature of G major, it has an F sharp in it. Now we work out if our chord is affected by the F sharp. So G, no, B, no, D, no, F, yes. So we need to add a sharp here to make sure that all of our notes are in G major because we're using that as our tool. Cool, I'm satisfied we've got all notes from G major. Now we apply the formula. Minor 7 has 1 lowered 3rd, 5 lowered 7th. So 1 lowered 3rd, so we need to put a flat in front of the third, the fifth stays the same, and the seventh gets lowered as well. So once again, we just rub out that sharp. Voila. We have G minor 7. Okay? G, B flat, D, and F. As I said before, if you're feeling confident with this, you may skip some of these steps and do them just in your mind and not writing every single step down. But if you're new to it, follow all of these steps. You'll eventually get there. I mean, to give you an example, if you do this for long enough and really understand it, you can actually just skip all the steps. You can go straight to the answer. But you know, that takes a while to get to that point. But you know, with anything, the more you practice it, it helps. You know, you get there, you get better, you get faster, all those types of things. Cool. All right, let's do a few more. I'm going to do B minor 7 flat 5. Cool. Okay. This one's got a large key signature, but that's okay. It's a good one to do. So we go to B, which is because that's the chord, put in our 4 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to need a ledger line here. Next step is to write the key signature of B major, which I believe has 5 sharps from memory. So F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, and A sharp. Cool. Now we need to apply that to our chord, see if if there's anything there. B obviously is not going to be there. D, yes, we have a D sharp. There's our D sharp. F, yes, we have an F sharp. And A at the top, yes, we have an A sharp. So we now have all of those notes from B major. Now we can apply the formula. So minor 7 flat 5, 1 lowered third, lowered fifth, lowered seventh. So they all get lowered except for the first note. So what do we need to do? Of course, we can just rub out all of those sharps because they're all getting lowered. The third is getting lowered, so that we take away the sharp. Now it's just D natural. The fifth is getting lowered, so we take away that to make it F. And the seventh is lowered to make that A. So there you go. We didn't need any sharps in the end to make it a B minor 7 flat 5. Cool. Okay, let's do it the other way around. Enough of that. I'm going to give you the chord and you need to name it. That was tricky. All right. So the method is quite similar here. Let's just make sure I haven't already got it. Nope. Okay, so there are our 4 notes there. Okay, so we've given this chord and we need to name it. What is that chord? So this is how we do it. So first of all, we can put G. We know it's going to be G something, okay? We've worked out the bottom note is the root note, or the first, or the tonic, so it's going to be G something. It's definitely not going to be G. It's going to have something in there. It's going to need something. Now we need to, next step is to write out the key signature of G major above, so we can see what we're working with. Key signature of G major is F sharp. Now we need to see if any of the other notes are affected by that key signature, and therefore whether they've been lowered or not. So the B is not in the key signature. Oh, sorry, I missed a step. Below that, I write down the numbers. So we're going to put a 1, and we're going to add in the others and see if they've been lowered or not. Sorry about that, I missed a step. So B is not affected by our key signature, and so therefore it is in the key of G major, so that's just a normal 3. It's not flattened, it's not lowered, it's just a 3. Okay, our next one, D, is not affected by a key signature. It doesn't have an accidental in front of it or anything, so that is just 5. And our top one is an F, aha. It is affected by our key signature. So it would normally be F sharp in the key of G, but of course it is F, so it has been lowered compared to the major scale. So we can put lowered 7th. Okay, and then all we do is we compare that to our formulas and we find the right one. So 1, 3, 5 lowered 7th. It's our second one there. Oh, I'm about to get interrupted, I think. And it's a 7 chord. All right, so let's do another one. Okay, we've got a few flats in here. So we're going to work out this one. Same method. So first thing we do is put an F, or we work out our bottom note, which is an F. So we put an F there. There's someone out the back there doing stuff. And then we write down the key signature of F major, which is, hopefully you know, it is a B flat. Okay, now we're going to write down 1, 3, 5 and 7 and work out whether they've been lowered compared to the key signature, that type of thing. So 1, of course, is just 1. We don't need to worry about that. It's always just going to be 1. Okay, let's have a look at our third. It's an A flat. So we can see F major doesn't normally have an A flat in it. It only has a B flat. So therefore that has been lowered compared to the key of F major. So we can put lowered third there, L3. Let's have a look at C. It's a C natural. And if we look at our key signature, F major only has a B flat in it. So therefore C natural is straight from the key of F major. So we can just put a 5. Nothing's happened to that. Hopefully you can see that, yes. And the 7th is E flat. Now F major doesn't have an E flat in it. It just have a B flat. So it would normally be E in F major. So that has been lowered as well. So that's a lowered 7th, and we now have our formula down the bottom. So we find the formula over here, and it is 1 lowered third, 5 lowered 7th. It's a minor 7 chord. So we add minor 7. I've just realised how long this video is going for. Quite long. That's okay, almost finished. So if you've made it to the end, well done. Cool. Let's do a couple more and then we'll finish up. But hopefully that's making sense. Okay, let's do this one. Okay, a couple of badly drawn notes there, but anyway. So the process, the method. Bottom note, we work out the bottom note. It's an E, so we can put an E there. Cool. Now we do the key signature of E major, which is 4 sharps. So we have F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp. Okay, is our key signature of E major. Now we write down the formula 1, 3, 5, 7 and see if any these have been lowered or not. So we can write down 1. 1 is fine. Okay, let's go to the second note. Sorry, whoops. Go to the third. My mistake. And it's a G natural. Now we compare that to our key signature of E major, and we can see that it's normally G sharp. So therefore the third, if it's normally G sharp and it's gone to G, it's been lowered, so it's a lowered third. The 5th is B. There's nothing in the key signature about B, so therefore it's just a normal 5th. Cool. Our 7th is D sharp. If we look at our key signature, it has a D sharp. So that's just straight from the major scale. And that is a 7. Cool. So we have our formula and we compare it to over here, 1, lowered, 3rd, 5th and 7th. And we can have a look at, there it is, minor, major 7. Cool. And there we go, that's 7th chords. So I might just summarize, although it's been a long video, almost half an hour. I'll just summarize quickly. So we have our formulas, and our formulas are all compared to the major scale. We use the major scale as a tool to help us work out. So in the first one, we given the chord name and we had to write the chord. So we had, you write the chords, you use the key signature, you write out the ones all from the major scale, and then you work out whether you're going to lower them or which might be a flat or a natural. You can go back and rewind if you need to go over that. I won't go over the whole process. But then we had the opposite, where we are given the notes and we have to work out the name of the chord. Cool. The only thing I want to finish with is the order of 4-note chords in a major scale. Just briefly. Well done if you've stayed to the end. So we're used to having this. I'll just write this out. I'm sure you would have seen this before. So this is the Roman numerals. This is the order of chords in a major scale, and these are the order of the 3-note chords, or just triads. So capital being major, lowercase being minor, circle meaning diminished. So we have major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, minor 7, major. Hopefully that sounds familiar to you. So if we add an extra note to all of those chords, we have 4-note chords or 7 chords within a major scale, but they're all going to be slightly different. So I'll show you what they are. Chord 1 becomes a major 7 chord. So they're all going to come from this list of chords. So 1 is major 7, 2 is minor 7. Now I don't need to put the M because it's already lowered case. So we can just put a 7 there because it's already got the minor. It's already told us that it's minor. The 3, once again, is a minor 7 chord. So it's the same. 4 is a major 7 chord. 5 is a dominant 7th, so it just gets the 7. 6 is a minor 7, so we just put a 7. The 7th is either a half diminished or a minor 7 flat 5. I'm just going to put half diminished because it's nice and easy to just put a line through that circle, and then back to 1 major 7. So that's the order. So I won't do it now because the video has gone for long enough. But you could write out like in C major. You could write out all the 4-note chords, and that's the order of them there. So 1 major 7, 2 minor 7, 3 minor 7, 4 major 7, 5 7, 6 minor 7, 7 half diminished, back to 1 major 7. Cool. Groovy. Hopefully that will make sense. See you on the next one.